The geocoding module is an add-on license. If you'd like to add this to your account, please contact Flagship Software. The geocoding module will add location information to each of the records in your database. It will also allow you to enter target postal codes and measure the distance between each of your records and that postal code or the nearest postal code. So let's show you how to do this. The first thing you're going to want to do is to create a job with your record data set. Once you've done that, you do need to correct it. Geocoding will remain grayed out until you have corrected and validated your file. Once you have done that, you're going to get into geocoding and run geocoding. Once you're in the geocoding module, you have two options. The first is to add location data to each of the records in your data set. To do that, you want to remove the created distance list. When you now hit process, it will add latitude and longitude to each of the records in your database. You can choose to use either signed degrees or unsigned degrees. If you'd like to go a step further and add target postal codes, either one or more, to create a distance list, you would make sure to use this checkbox here. You can then add a postal code manually or more than one postal code manually by entering it in this box and adding the postal code. Once that's done, if we now process, it will not only add the latitude and longitude to each of my records, but it's going to measure the distance between this postal code and each of my records. And I can then use that in the filtering option that I'll show you after this. If we want to remove a postal code, we click it and click Remove Postal Codes. If I happen to have a file of target postal codes, it needs to be a text, I can enter it here. Now when I process, it's going to add the location information, the latitude and longitude for each of my records. Then it's going to determine which of these target postal codes is the closest, and it's going to include that information, and then it is going to measure the distance between that postal code and the target postal code. Once we've done that, we can hit process. After processing our geocoding, we can now work with the results. We can take a look at the distances that were created by going into View Database and scrolling across. You will see that for each record, there is a latitude and longitude. Because I included a list of postal codes, target postal codes, the software has calculated the target postal code that is closest to each of these records and then measured the distance between this record and the target postal code. If I'd like to work with these numbers, I can now go into Address Management, Filter Mailing, and I'm going to select the Geocoding tab. Here we can filter either by distance from the target postal code or by the number of pieces that we would like to have from that target postal code. So we can choose to select either the ones closest to our target or furthest away. Please remember that this is an exclude filter, so we're getting rid of anything we don't want. So let's say that we would like all of the pieces that are within 75 kilometers of each of our target postal codes. In that case, we want to remove all of the postal codes and records that are further away than 75 kilometers. We put that in and we click exclude, and you will notice down here that we have now removed 4,046 records from our database, leaving a remaining 1,610, and these are all going to be within 75 kilometers of each of those target postal codes. If we decide we want to do something else, we can restore these, and we now have our original records back. If we'd like to filter by the number of pieces, we do have to remember to remove the numbers over here. So once we've done that, we don't want to leave any numbers here. Once we've done that, we can filter the number of pieces that we want to remove from our mailing, and we can either take away the furthest ones or the closest ones. So in this case, if we want our closest postal codes, but let's say that we want to have exactly 1,000 pieces left, we would want to exclude 4,556, furthest away, and we're going to exclude them. And once we've done that, we now have exactly 1,000 records left in our database. Now, these excluded records can be saved and can be exported. And once we've done that, we can now move on with the rest of our sort, or we can print these for machinable.